everybody, Pete here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to the debut episode of Album Homework Assignment. Just so you guys know where this show theme came from. We've got the genius behind this idea, Mr. Jamie Laszlo. So he thought of this idea to come up with a show where we have two Sea of Tranquility personalities who either may have worked with each other on the channel or not. We're going to do a combination of both, where they each kind of talk and give each other a homework assignment, an album to listen to that they've never listened to before. It could be a band they know of, but never really heard any of the music, or a band, an album that they never heard of at all, or maybe like a genre that they don't listen to all the time, but they're open to checking it out. So today we've got Jamie and Rick LaBonte, who have given each other homework assignments. They've had a week to spend with these two albums. So they're each going to go and say what they liked about the album, maybe what they didn't like about the album, give any kind of information about the album, and the other person can feel free to ask any questions about their thoughts on the album, so on and so forth. So since this was Jamie's idea, he's going to go first with his assignment that was given to him by Rick. But before we go, welcome, guys. How's it going?
Good. Going all right.
I decided for the first episode of the series, I wanted to be sitting outside today. So so far, it's still a pretty decent day, but we're expecting some rain soon. So I said, you know what? Let's see if we can get it in. So here I am, but I'm going to leave it up to you guys. So take it away, Jake.
All right. Well, about 9 days ago, Rick gave me the album he wants me to listen to. And he gave me the Winery Dogs. And first thing I said was, my God, with Mike Portnoy on drums, I got to work with this guy sometimes. What if I don't like it? I mean, there are literally thousands upon thousands of bands out there. And granted, Mike Portnoy plays drums for about 25% of them. But I had a 1 in 4 chance of not getting a Mike Portnoy band. 1 in 4. And I got one. But in all seriousness, we did a best of 1976 album ranking about 5 weeks ago on Hudson Valley Squares with Mike, and he picked the Ramones, and I kind of poked fun at the Ramones a little bit when he did, and the internet went off on me. I became a villain. So I almost wanted to call this off because I'm like, if I made fun of an album he picked, what if I make fun of an album he's actually on? Oh my God, I'll never recover. But you know what? I decided to go through with it. And you might ask yourself, though, why did you never listen to this band before? Why is this out of your wheelhouse? Because it's just rock and roll, right? Well, there's a group of modern day classic rock bands that I don't really give a shot too much because how should I put this? The production on a lot of these bands, and I'm talking about Rival Sons, I'll put Joe Bonamassa in there. I'll put Alter Bridge in there. Black Stone Cherry. Do you know, before we did this video, I thought Black Stone Cherry and Blackberry Smoke were the same band. I never heard them in the same breath before. And if I heard one band talked about one day and then maybe 6 months later, the other one, in my mind, they were the same band. So I actually like Blackberry Smoke, I found out. Anyways, and they're nothing like these classic rock bands I'm talking about, but Black Stone Cherry I'll put in there. The production is it sounds safe on these bands to me. And the guitar tone, which you just talked about on the Guitarist Corner. The guitar tone on these bands, it feels like or sounds like all the notes are drenched in caramel. And they're shiny, they're brown, they slide down easy. And it's kind of off-putting for me. There's no danger in the music to me. You know, and I get why people like it. The singing's great, the songs are well constructed, but guitar tone, I found out just this week, can be a deal breaker for me.
So you're saying it's too slick?
A little too slick, a little too caramely. That's the only way I can put it. You know, it's not screeching guitar. It's more, I don't play guitar, so I don't know how to word what I want to say. but it's just low tones and just it's kind of like music for the 55-year-old guy who wants to come home from work. He hasn't bought many new records by new bands in the past 30 years, but he likes Rival Sons because it's new, it's fresh, but it's still kind of in his safe bubble in a way.
It's comforting, Jamie.
It's comforting, yeah, like comfort food. You can have a Budweiser, eat the wings that you picked up on the way home from work, put in that kind of music, and it's nice. It's comforting. Yes, exactly.
I like all the bands you mentioned so far.
Yeah, me too.
I know. And I hope I don't offend anyone out there. I really don't.
Hey,
But
what
I
do
just
appreciate-
what do I always say, right?
I know.
Right,
Right,
every sets of these things, right? So
And I'm really hoping in future episodes and stuff, even this episode, the gloves come off a little bit. And we don't use words like, it's a strong album. No, because we all know when Pete says something's a strong album, as that's key for it's not that great. but I'll be nice and use the word strong.
actually, it's probably solid. Solid is the word.
Solid. Okay, solid. Okay. That's right. So, anyways, I always said that music is like hot sauce. You know, Frank's hot sauce is fine. It's a great product, but I always want to go a little bit further. You know, I want the ghost pepper sauce. And to me, Alter Bridge is the Frank's Red Hot of rock bands. So I always put the Winery Dogs in this mix. Maybe because of their name, Winery Dogs, it just sounds like a boozy, modern, classic rock band. So here we go. I went into it. Let's talk about the first track, Elevate. I got scared real fast because it starts off sounding like Mr. Big. And I was thinking, I am in for a long week with this record. But it shakes off the Mr. Big sound pretty quickly. And I got to tell you, they are showing off in this song. Sheehan and Portnoy are really showing off. They're doing fills that make you do a double take. It's really cool. It's got a big chorus. The chorus has been stuck in my head all week. It's like an earworm. So no complaints. No big complaints. Desire's the next song. More double takes. Like, did he just do that? Wow. Big chorus. We Are One. I didn't know that Kotzen could sound so much like Chris Cornell. You know, he has a little bit of Cornell in him. And I'm a huge Soundgarden fan. So still, no complaints yet. Thank God. Because I did not want to rip on this album that much at all. I'm No Angel. It's an okay song, but give me this one any day. And after that, The Other Side. I did not like that song at first, but you know what? As I listened to this album more and more, it grew on me and became one of my more favorite songs. The same goes with Not Helpless. Now, Damaged. This reminds me of like Fell on Black Days by Soundgarden. I didn't know the Winery Dogs had it in them. See, I'm surprised. This song could fit on Super Unknown or Down on the Upside by Soundgarden. I truly believe that. And then 6 Feet Deeper. You know what? I think this album finishes stronger than how it starts, which is weird for an album because a lot of times it kind of tapers off. But I think the songs I wish they almost flipped the song order. But I understand why they started with Elevate. I mean, they're going to say, looky what we can do. You know,
exactly.
This is the ride you're in for, guys. It's showing off in a good way.
Yes.
Time Machine is probably the most adventurous song on here, songwriting wise. And I like the way it ends. And track 12, I did not think of much, but I listened to it right before we did this video. And that's actually a really good song called The Dying. And I wish it ended on that because it ends on Regret, which is an okay song, but it's like a petering out kind of way to end this album. I wonder if they regret doing that. So the negative. Jesus Christ. You got to remember, we got 3 of the best musicians out there on one album, okay? We got Portnoy, we got Sheehan, and then we got Kotzen. I do accounts payable. All right. What do I know? But I'm going to critique it anyways. And I decided, how was I going to critique this if Mike watches this? So I was thinking, we probably all do this, right? You can feel something coming. We all do this. We watch a video on YouTube, but sometimes we get busy. We might be doing the dishes or doing like our day job or something, and we don't actually look at the screen while we're watching, quote unquote, watching the video. I know I do it. So I'm thinking Mike's a pretty busy guy, right? He's always up to something. So he might just have this on a laptop over there in the corner while he's doing something with his drums over here, just listening. So with that in mind, I want to say all the choruses on this song are fresh and sound great. The production on this album is perfect and daring. The guitar tone, man, that guitar tone is great. Love it every inch of the way. And this album flies by. It's not too long at all. So there you go, guys.
You
But
know,
overall, hey, if I had to say, if you would ask me, Laszlo, are you going to buy this album? Just stream this album every once in a while, or are you going to forget about this album? I bought it. I got it.
All right, here we go.
I might have shopped around and found the cheapest price, but I got it.
Got it. There you go.
but my brother, I gotta say, first of all, without poking holes of what you think, you're gonna have a different opinion. But one thing to say about how they produced that record, but they deliver that stuff live, my friend. When you go on
sure.
YouTube, check out Live in Japan and Live, another one with the dog ears. They do the first 2 albums on this concert. But man, they did what you hear on that record, harmonies and all, and guitar precision is exactly how they deliver it live. So glossy, slick, as if what you may say, that's what they sound like live. It's not overly produced, though it sounds so good because they deliver. And another thing you need to just to keep in mind for fans who are watching the Winery Dog, Richie played with no pick and all that stuff, with finger and everything. What you hear is how it's gonna sound live. So I think what you said about the song structure, if you don't mind, yeah, the order of the song, I think they did it to hook everybody in. People expecting them to be heavyweight champions, being who they are. But to categorize them in with Winery Dogs and all that, I understand by maybe you're comparing the sound and what they're trying to go for musically, but they are classic rock heroes, really. Billy Sheehan opened before Van Halen. He was in that era where the guys are from today are playing from the past. Billy has the right to play that kind of stuff right through, right? And you know Mr. Big's history, and of course Mike, the late one out of the 3 that's been famous to the world, and of course you're involved in the 80s. You could consider classic rock today, anyhow. So just to defend that people may be a template for those bands to follow more than them following that template, because these guys had it in their DNA right from the start, in my opinion. They could have produced the album themselves because that's how they sound like live. But I'm glad you bought it. I really am. Yeah. I'm glad that you took the time, because if that wasn't your comfort normally, you did it out of friendship and for this assignment. I'm thankful for that. It's one of the albums I love when I came out. I loved it in the first listen. What about you?
It was nice to sit with a record because I had to for a while, because normally I get a record and I want to move on to the next shiny thing. You know, I'm getting older, life gets shorter. I'm running out of time to listen to everything. So bam, I got to listen to something else. And then before you know it, you're listening to 5 albums later, and that one you almost forgot about. So it was nice to finally sit with a record. And I sat with your record I gave you too, and that was nice. And I want to get the elephant out of the room for a second.
Sure.
I know I said that it's, the production is safe and everything, people out there might be saying, Laszlo, you listen to pop music. So what the F? It's hard to argue with you if you're thinking that. But let me put it this way. I might go on a roller coaster. I don't know if this is going to answer that question or not. I'm going to go on a roller coaster. I want it to be as intense as possible. And when I get off that roller coaster, I might go on the merry-go-round and enjoy that as well. But I don't expect that merry-go-round to go 74 miles an hour. I know what I'm going to get from it when I go on there, and that's what I want. When I want rock, I want it to be a certain way. When I want pop, I want it to be a certain way. So I don't know.
Well, then I got to get you into a prog album next time because they'll give you a real roller coaster, right, Pete?
I tell you what, 90s and 2000s prog is way out of my wheelhouse because I can go off on that production too. So, but it maybe if I sat with it for a while and got used to it, you know.
Well, you won't be able to say it's predictable, that's for sure.
And I want to say one more thing. People say, why aren't Rival Sons bigger? You know, in all these bands. I think it's because their target audience is guys in their late 40s to early 60s, and those guys don't buy new music. So the band is almost their own worst enemy by targeting music to people who don't buy new music.
Yeah. And then you
There's
get
some truth to that.
who will listen to that kind of stuff because that's totally in my wheelhouse. And I'm trying to, convince people my age and maybe a little bit older that, but you like all these old bands, you will like these guys. And they just like, they stop at 1990 and they don't even past it. You're absolutely right.
That's why I brought that album up.
Yeah. I mean, granted, there are some younger folks who do like the classic rock sound who have gravitated towards those bands, but is that the majority? Probably not.
No.
It's hard. Yeah.
It's a dying breed a little bit, right? So yeah, glad that you bought it and added to your collection.
Well, it sounds to me like Jamie went in thinking, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to like this," but was pleasantly surprised. That's cool.
Yes.
That's cool. Good. All right. Well, let's go to Rick now.
Okay. Well, first of foremost, when we were trying to find the assignment, me and him got a lot of music that we have. I mean, we're big fans of a lot of same bands. So, however, I was thinking I'm gonna get maybe an odd album that he has in the collection I just never purchased. And so, but he was, and you already seen it from his presentation. He has a flair for dramatic. So he said, "Well, tell me what you don't want." Almost like let me walk on that danger path, right? Because he wanted to not only challenge me, but maybe take me someplace I never went before, to some degree in a genre, perhaps. I didn't know. I was suspicious, actually, because he'd asked me to kind of things or what to avoid. And I said, well, generally speaking, because we'd ask me, hey, you like grunge, you like this, and I said, I like certain bands, depending. I don't like everything. I like bands that are original, that stand out. And so as he would give me some names, yeah, I like them. Oh, I got them. And so we were seeing we had a lot in common. So that was a good exercise because I got to know Jamie a little bit more, and not just from his opinions on the show, but we got to share. Then I tell him, well, what do you avoid buying? I said, well, I like a lot of music, especially progressive metal and rock and classic rock and fusion, all that stuff that we do here in the channel. That's why I've been a fan for so long. But I avoid at my age really the death metal if it's just going to be growling through the whole thing, because I'm a singer. I was raised listening to the Beatles. I learned how to sing, imitating Paul McCartney and John Lennon, Paul, and George and Ringo, and following bands like Eagles, Uriah Heep. Vocals were very important to me, and that's why I love Dream Theater and all these bands that we're talking about on this channel a lot, because the vocals, right? So I said, I normally don't buy it, but if I didn't been exposed to Symphony X or even Porcupine Tree, or let's say this album, my beloved Dream Theater, I probably wouldn't be ready for this album 20 years ago, honestly, because if I would have heard a growling for the first 3 minutes, I would have turned it off because I wouldn't have gave it an honest listen. Because I'm looking for vocalists. That's my job as a singer in my band, and it's something I do. And I understand that in music, there could be a presentation. Like I got a lot of albums of people rock or shout because it's an emotion, say your prayers, Mr. John, if you want. I get that and I get pumped up. I can support that. I also like that high voice singing. But when I hear a growl, it kind of reminded me like the Walking Dead zombie cue that here comes the enemy, and like to me, I didn't see it as a musical thing. But I learned something from this album that was Opeth Black Water Park 2001 that was given to me to give it. Because he said, you don't like growl? Maybe that's what he put in the back of my mind, right? To challenge me a little bit. Because I just would have wrote it up probably 20 years ago. I know, so maybe I wasn't had the, because it's like ears on music. It's just like anything else. You don't feed babies meat and potatoes. You start with pablum or formula. This would have been a heavy diet to grab in when it came out, to be honest, for me. I'll be honest with you. I'm a singer. So today, being exposed to so much more, I had an open mind, and I'm definitely glad I did. Because it was great. And another thing I was going to say, I would not going to be a guy that's going to shit on anybody's art. I have skin in the game. I know what it's like to be a songwriter, put your stuff out there, but I can be honest whether I like it or not. Would I support it with my own money or not? And this is what we're about. So let me get into the program. Being that, I like all these metal rock bands. I love the way it started right off the bat. I got some notes here. I love the way it started off the bat. First of all, it reminded me of Yes, Close to the Edge, where if you hear the piano, hold it down, because I can play piano. You pull it down with the pedals on the floor, and then they turn it up after it was dun, and then and it just reminded me of Yes. I said, oh wow, obviously these guys like prog rock, because that was kind of what reminded me. And then the great riffing arama comes out in the first song, thunder and rhythm section. I like the music already. It's kicking ass all right off the bat. And then the growl comes in 1 minute. I'm going, okay, Jamie did this on purpose to give me the growl. Is he going to give me 70 minutes of this stuff? I had no idea.
No, I wouldn't do that.
No, but I didn't know.
Win.
But right off the bat, I like the musicianship. Like the music, to me, because I love Dream Theater, it was like nightmare theater. It's just a little darker. It's like someone took the darker pill. And you know what? Looking back at it today, this was out 2001. This is 2003. This got to inspire Dream Theater even maybe. Could even got the black and white cover like your album that you just shared with everybody. So anyway, but then the guitar solos. I love guitar because I can play and I can appreciate a real player. And this guy, I love the tone. I love the harmony solo. It reminded me of some of the best of Maiden, but those layers, guitar patches he did. And then, is it Michael or Michael? I don't know how he pronounced it.
Yeah,
I
Michael. I guess the
in America,
the Swedish way would be to pronounce it would be Mikael, but I think
Michael. Okay, thank you. Actually started singing in 450 in that song, the vocal, and I'm like, wow, man, this guy can sing. See, for a while there, when I was hearing the growl, I was treating it like if you listen to Yes, South Side of the Sky, where you have the wind passages, or if you listen to some shitty bootlegs and the audience so loud, you got to filter and try to hear the band. That's what I did in the beginning because the growl is not my turning point, right? Because I'm a singer. And believe me, what was difficult was because the first two listens, I couldn't make out all the words with the growl. I can't make out what it's saying. And I don't have the physical copy to go read along the lyrics. So eventually on my third or fourth reading, I started reading the lyrics. And let me tell you, those are good lyrics. In my mind, and this is just my humble opinion, people don't attack me, but I really thought there was a missed opportunity because knowing that he can sing like he did, 450 in, that was some great vocal lines in there. Because you know what, even with the growl, I do hear the harmony, the melody, the melody in there. So the producing was done well that it kind of went sonically with the music. In all fairness, it wasn't annoying as some growl. Yeah, that's what I learned later on. I learned that Stephen Wilson produced it. And you know what? After my third listen of the entire album, I honestly thought it would have sounded like a porcupine tree kind of produced. And lo and behold, when I went to do the lyric, that's when I learned Stephen Wilson had his hands in a cookie jar here. And
he
not
sings
only
a lot on it too.
Yeah, he sings. He did the harmony. That's the part I want to bring up. when he joined the harmony on that very first track, right? Leopard Affinity, he had that nice harmony and with the elegant acoustic and all that, it made it automatically accessible. And I'm like, this is what I want to hear from this band. I really do. Not to say I didn't like, because I love the heavy stuff. I just, again, I couldn't make out the words, so I couldn't appreciate the message. So when I was listening to it a couple of times, but I was starting to think the growl, is that a character? Was that somebody playing? Is this a concept album and you just playing a voice? Because you had the, you know what it sounded like? Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You got Dr. Jekyll with a clean voice, and then he go, rah, you know, and he's like, he's Mr. Hyde all of a sudden. But when I look at the lyrics, it's not two different personalities. It's just one piece of work. So I learned that that's not what, they didn't do it as a theater thing. It's just, that's their gig. That's their thing. In Sweden, death metal has that movement, and I recognize it for what that is. I'm not in the band, so I won't change how they do the thing. But anyway, I learned to accept that because the music is too good to ignore. As you're going through all those passages and everything, and when that Dr. Hyde voice come back, I welcome it now versus in the beginning, to be honest. And as I thought, when I learned it wasn't really a character, I started moving on. Then Bleak, great intro, love it. Remind me a lot of Trains of Thought kind of production for Dream Theater. The growl, again, is more in style with the music mix. Now, like I said, it seemed to fit more or less. I thought the lyrics are awesome. I can actually hear the melody through the growl. So he could have sang this easily over it because the melody was starting to become a little more transparent. And I really love the arrangements, all the stop and go and the time signature stuff. It is a prog metal record, just in that song alone for all that stuff that they do. It's wonderful. And then as you get to 337 into it, the pre-chorus with Steven Wilson taking this melodic chorus, and among that had the hook of accessibility. It reminded me of the Beatles, King Jack kind of vocal harmonies. And I love that stuff. I loved it because I knew they really created an atmosphere from being so heavy and yet being so delicate too. And so I didn't know they had that in them. Because that album cover, you would have thought was just a swamp darkness, but there's some glimmer of light. And you know,
I think I did good, Pete.
You did, my friend. And it gave me that Pink Floyd vibe when they went to that little piano bit, because I like piano and I like the way it felt. So it's like it gave you a chance to catch your breath after all that thing that just happened. It's like the calm before the storm, because the next song, another great tune comes out. And again, by this point, I'm really liking the production. It's only third song in it. And I'm like, this is a good record sonically, the way they did for a progressive metal record. Thumbs up all the way for that, right? And then I really thought the guitar work and Michael Stevens' harmony, he could have been a great fit for that band because that really sounded good. I wonder how they pulled that off live, because those two voices were, it's like John and Paul to me. It's really, really, really nice. So let's get into that. Harvest, great acoustic song. One of my favorite instruments is playing acoustic, and it's seeing that the great vocal just reconfirmed my position that this guy could sing all through it without bringing Mr. Hyde to the table, because he really got a beautiful voice. He really does. I saw that, and I'm glad that I didn't pin because see, when I heard Opeth, guys, I heard it randomly on Spotify and hit song by song. Never heard a body of work like what Jamie did for me. And hearing it from start to finish, it's just like what you expect in a movie. Sure, I like to talk some movies of violence, but I don't want it all violence and just be nothing but that. It gave you some, you know, you like to see a movie that gives you a little bit of love scene, you know, maybe even some passionate sex if you wanted it, depending how rated it is. You wanted some humor, you wanted some lighthearted stuff. And so this felt like a movie when I'm listening to this whole album, because it took me to a lot of emotions. Because you understand, music is what feelings sound like. So when you express it, that's where I always felt the job as a singer is to be the actor and the sing and deliberately vocally. But you know what? The growl works now that I hear it in this content, which I didn't understand. I would have not gave it an honest review before if I didn't sit all the way through. So I'm thankful for that. The Drapery Falls, cool bass line. Again, another familiar polka porcupine tree mix in my ears, and I welcome that. And it gets cool at the end of the 10 songs. It kept evolving and evolving. And then, of course, Mr. Hyde comes back to growl, and you welcome it by this point. You know, about this point of the album, I'm like, I get it. Okay. And then if there's any filler on this record, it might be for me, and it's not a really filler, it's just that it's nothing different that blew my mind from the previous song. Would be, I don't know if you help me pronounce it right. Is it Drudge for November? It's good. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's interesting. I like the acoustic passage at the tail end of that song. That was really nice. But the funeral portrait kind of reminds me of that nice acoustic bit like Tony Iommi does between songs and Sabbath albums. And I always like that. It's like the calm before the storm, and then they blast your head off with some heavy riffing. And of course, the grand finale is the Blackwater Park. That title song is great. I love the way that song goes. Just as an instrumental, I could listen to that song without having all that singing, growling, and all that. I can just listen to it as an instrumental. It's so good. There's so much work on that riffing and changes and stuff that people do for a whole record is in one song, in my opinion. That I gotta say, I was really impressed with the guitars and the vocal harmony that you get near the end. And he has that one long growl where he holds that voice on that. You're almost cheering him on by this point because it's like the climate in that song. So anyway, I know I was long-winded. I just want to say though, I had a 7 time to listen to this. And so it came down to, Rick, will you buy it? Would you stream it? Would you forget it? Well, I definitely would stream to more, but of the different album, but it's already being delivered to me probably in 3 days from now, according to the Amazon shopping cart. So thanks for adding a new band too, an entire band into my collection.
Well, Rick, as Obi-Wan Kenobi said to Luke Skywalker, you've taken your first step into a larger world.
That's right. And I will say, you're getting probably their magnum opus in the eyes of many people, but if you wanted to go down the Opeth path growlless, they now have 5 albums now since they stopped doing the death metal stuff. That's all that gorgeous singing voice that you obviously really like.
Yeah, I do.
The music, very similar type music, maybe more 70s prog, 70s hard rock and psych, as less metal, but it's still just as rewarding. So, but you've got whatever route you decide to take with this band, whether you dip back into, My Arms, Your Hearse, and Still Life, and all that sort of stuff. Because there's a lot of great progressive death metal albums from this band. They've also got the other half, which is all of the post death metal stuff. So
and Morning Rise is almost like a black metal album.
Yeah, Morning Rise is great. Yeah, that's really good. Watershed and Ghost Reveries, those are the 2 albums right before they make the complete shift. But a lot of good stuff. If you ever want to have a side conversation about what Opeth to get next, feel free.
Well, you being a moderator, hearing what I had, what would you say my next pick should be?
Well,
out there as an honorable mention from Opeth.
I'll tell you what. If you want to, so you've already got Blackwater Park on order. I would say. So hard. They're all so great.
Do you want more growling or do you want more clean?
Yeah,
I'm open-minded now. Like again, I was prejudiced in the beginning a little bit because I sort of set a standard. That gate's wide open. I'm just gonna listen. That's all.
My first two Opeth, my favorite Opeth albums, probably my top 3, are the one you just got, Ghost Reveries,
okay,
Sorceress. Sorceress is no growls. That's their album before the most recent one, and that's amazing. That's like their kind of like Jethro Tull album almost. Jethro Tull with and but a little heavier. So I would start there. And then,
but again, I just want to make sure people understand the growl is not as offensive or annoying as I thought it was going to be from previous bands I've heard. It's not the same thing. The way they did it in the producing, it made it a little more musical. So, but knowing that they can sing, I do want to hear more of that because I love that harmony. I'm a junkie for harmony stuff like that. Jello Fist, the Beatles, America, any band that can sing Uriah Heep, especially, I just dig that a lot. So kudos to that. But either way, just on the musicianship of the band, the guitar player with the two Marcells, I think their name is, great rhythm players, drummer and a bass player. It's just fabulous. And I think Stephen Wilson would have been a great fit for the band because he added a lot of those cool embellishments to it. So again, thanks, Jamie. I thought you were trying to throw.
There, I don't know if the Opeth could hold both those egos.
Oh, I see.
Hey,
I
Rick,
want to say thank you, Jamie.
Rick, about 12 years ago, I wasn't into growling either. And I just decided one day that there's a lot of good metal bands out there with growling, and I feel like I'm missing the boat on them. So I said, I'm going to get over it. And Opeth, Steel Life was my gateway, which is the album before this one, 1999, and Gojira. Those were my two gateway drugs to this type of music. And now I'm listening to death metal, Swedish death metal from the 90s that I 12 years ago thought I would never listen to. So it kind of, it's like a hot bath. You get it, oh, that's hot. And you ease into it. And before you know it, you love it.
Yeah.
Well, we keep that in mind when we throw you a prog album that way, okay?
I can't wait for that Spock's Beard album.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
But it's an interesting point that Jamie brings up because Opeth, Blackwater Park, Borknagar, Quintessence, and I can't remember which Amorphous album were basically my gateways into this world of death metal growls. Because up till then, I was also very hesitant. But all three of those bands I just mentioned have this great way of incorporating clean vocals and really great clean vocals with the growls,
Yes.
really great growls, and it all works. And the music is very progressive as well. So
That's right.
yeah, so cool.
And also the message isn't all that what I thought it'd be, because a lot of growl, I like I was telling him, I'm a modern day hippie. I'm not out there for violence and promoting hate and war. I don't mind have an album talking about it and captain imagination of fighting with the Vikings like Zeppelin did or whatever, or Iron Maiden. I just didn't want to be promoting attack authorities and all that kind of stuff that some of that music do get involved, just like hip hop and the gangster rap. I just not my cup of tea. So I would assume when they growl, they got nothing positive to say. That's what I was thinking. And I learned that something different from this week, that it's an art. It's a genre. It's just a vehicle to express some emotion that just an angry shout like James Hetfield can't deliver what they wanted to capture. And all the power to them. It wouldn't be something I put on my record. I would do a lot of their harmonies, though. I love that kind of stuff. But that's just me. And so I just took it on face value that this is what they offer a little bit. This is what makes them different from Dream Theater. They bring that to the table.
Yep.
All right. I hope there's people out there that felt like I did and felt like you did, and then goes out and give these albums and bands a shot.
All right, let's raise them up again for the people before we go.
There you go. So we got the Winery Dogs and Opeth's Blackwater Park today. Those were the assignments, and in both instances, they bought them. So there you have it.
Yes.
So thanks everybody for watching the first episode of Album Homework Assignment. This was a lot of fun, and stay tuned for next week where Jamie's going to be sitting in my chair, and Martin Popoff and I go head to head with the two album assignments we just put together the other day on Friday. We did it right after the Fun House. So that's coming.
And you have to drive to my house, and I have to drive to your house.
Oh,
I'll be in front of your CDs, and you be next to my Pat Benatar album.
So thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned next week. We've already got the first three episodes, the first one's in the can. We got 2 and 3 already set to go. I'm going to say it correctly. Armando, I apologize. I keep wanting to call you Alberto for whatever reason. I got Alberto on the mind, but Armando Venditti, our longtime viewer, is going to come on the show for the first time. He's going to be going on with Eric Porter, who's been a Sea of Tranquility writer and also a longtime viewer of the channel, and he's also making his first appearance on Sea of Tranquility. So that is week number 3, and we'll be seeing Jamie and Rick both in various configurations and maybe back again soon. So like I said, this is going to be a weekly show. So you're going to get Chris Allo and Louis Nasser and Anthony Ferrara and Chuck Alvarez and George Lemay and Martin Popoff and Butch Jones and Lynn Versace and Sidney Taylor and everybody else, Ryan Scow, Nick Franco, Steve Keeler, the whole crew, Jim Bocci. Maybe we'll get Mike Portnoy on this as well. So this will be a fun show. And again, thanks to Jamie for coming up with this concept. I think it's going to be a real winner here. So stay tuned next week for album homework assignment for Rick LaBonte and Jamie, Laszlo, Ian, Pete Pardo. Have a good weekend, everybody. Take care.
Bye.